Rocco Martone, what's up, bud?
Not much. Good to see you.
Here we are, Raw after WrestleMania, fresh at it, 10 minutes past the hour. Before we jump into that, what's some of the thoughts on the weekend you had?
I had a really fun weekend. I think everyone did. All the discourse I was having with people through texts and messaging and stuff like that, everyone was like really enjoying it. It felt good to have a happy crew texting you during a Mania.
Yeah, I thought this is the hot streak continues. 37 was pretty kick-ass, 38 was badass, and this one was probably better than both. Might have WrestleMania on our hands. Let's just sit back a little bit and let that dust settle. But overall, great weekend of wrestling, like you said. What was your favorite match?
I'm gonna say Rhea Charlotte was probably my fave. I just thought
Okay.
it was just violent and brutal. Really. For the build, it really outkicked the what they gave them. They really took that and just said, "Well, we're just gonna have a fucking match that's brutal and violent. It doesn't matter what the build was. Like once they start just knocking the shit out of each other, right?"
Yeah, let's just take a quick screenshot of right here. So this is what we did on the last Clotheslines Headlines. We predicted 4 all-time matches. I think all of them lived up to that hype. I think the Rollins Logan Paul was slotted correctly. LA Knight didn't happen, but that was more of a joke. Maybe a tick down on the Hell of the Cell there. Little unfortunate what happened to Finn there, but I thought they delivered violently within the construction of today. That Oscar match was in an impossible spot after the IC match, and those girls really kicked ass and over delivered in that spot. Siri and Dina was a house show match. It was more okay than good, but whatever. Ray and Dom was really fun, almost or really very good. The women's match was fine in the slot. Totally outkicked our coverage here with the Raw men's showcase. It was in the very good category, flirting with 4 stars for an 8-minute match. That's spectacular. Braun and Omos was okay. It was fine. It was fun for what it was. And that showcase, unfortunately was the worst match of the night on the card. But I think we did a pretty good job of ranking them where they would be. And, kudos to really all involved. It actually lived up to the hype that we anticipated. So
the women's showcase was something like there was something weird about that, right? Like with the Ronda and Shayna, like something, I don't know. Shayna was hurt. Ronda just disappeared for a while. I think maybe something like,
yeah, I don't think she was really fully cleared is my guess of what was that. And then Shayna with the boot off, but it was rough following the men's,
right.
You know what I mean?
Like the point about Asuka and Bianca is really good too, about the fact that that's an impossible spot. Many matches could have died a death in that, and they got that crowd. They had them. Like it wasn't.
And I was so proud of them. First of all, those 2 entrances were great. The masks with Asuka.
Oh, I almost teared up with the Bianca one, man. That was just the Bianca powerful, one was
it was adorable is the best way to put it. And then to find out what Triple H tells us later with that little girl with the flip, it was just adorable. And they were, it was like a youth program to keep the girls off the street or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's like 30 black girls from Compton on WrestleMania dancing, killing it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And I was like, I almost teared up watching that. I was like, wow, this is cool. I really liked Bianca struggling for the finish at the end. That really I thought that was a really cool finish to that match where she's like, it almost seemed like she wasn't gonna get her up. Really.
Yeah. Oh, they took the best compliment I could give those girls in that match was they took their time in a tough spot. They garnered the respect of the crowd, and then they got the crowd, and then they crushed it. That's the only I rewatched the IC, and I rewatched that. I went 4 with the girls, and I went 5 with the IC. I really give out 5 skis, but that was my favorite match of the weekend. Was that IC ladder match? It was just everything that you expected it to be, and they really just knocked it out of the park. I think the whole bloodline through and through, night 1 and night 2 over-delivered in a way too. I don't want to say over-delivered, but delivered on par what we anticipated. And the best women's WrestleMania match of all time with Charlotte and Rhea, surpassing Bianca and Charlotte, or Bianca and Becky from last year. And we both were really big fans of that match. So, we can go on and on about this WrestleMania, but,
I think that
a total kick of coverage.
The Walter and the Walter entrance, I think, is low key one of the better ones. It was really the way the camera was, the movements of the camera, and the way the dudes were up, and he just Like, I love the idea that Walter is not friends with the dudes in his crew. Like, they are below him.
Yeah,
Like, it's not
yeah,
like he doesn't even acknowledge them when he came out in the entrance, and it, really great. And like I said, I like the way he took them both out at the end of
mhm,
like the violence and the quickness, which with he when he had his opportunity,
yeah,
fucking takes down Sheamus, takes Drew, smashes him,
yeah.
and just the pin. Like it was so good at the end. Like after a match like that, it's like what's the finish? After
Yeah,
guys have killed each other for 20 minutes, it's like, oh, that's a
and
brutal fucking finish.
and those two motherfuckers laid it in on each other too. Like even when Gunther wasn't in, they went to 12. So
Yeah, man. Yeah, like what a match.
5 stars, 5.
Yeah, really good
No
shit,
LA
man.
Knight, no weird Lashley stuff, but
It was
they'll
this mania made me think of like since baseball season just started, and I've been watching the baseball games, and this mania did seem like a pitch clock baseball game where it was really just efficient. Like it just moved, like
I like that. Yeah,
it didn't have the bloat of like old manias where like all this random stuff is happening. It
yeah,
had the commercials and whatever, but it really just moved on. It was just a time efficiency, and
yeah.
you know,
We could add in Pat McAfee. That was fine, but then the next night with
yeah, that's a bummer.
with the shade and then Snoop Dogg, man, earning his Hall of Fame stripes, getting in there on the fly and delivering the ugliest rock bottom, but the best ugliest rock bottom of all time, man. In that freeze frame where he's up there and he's just like parallel, and he just like
For a dude who seems to be able to dance real well, he is the least athletic person I think I've ever seen in a wrestling ring. It's insane how weird his body
yeah.
moves, but that was really entertaining, man. Um,
And
you mentioned
would you
Mac. You mentioned
call
Mac. Sorry, go ahead.
would you call Shane McMahon's quadricep here apropos on kind of how what he tried pulling at the 2021 Royal Rumble and his kind of whole vibe the last 3 or 4 years? You got a little.
I
I
mean,
like you, Shane. You're my boy, but it's just kind of like I don't know.
man, karma, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a big
Yeah,
fan. I don't believe in karma, but it seemed a little. Hey, a
that
little
one seemed that
retribution.
seemed a little weird. But
You mentioned McAfee, man. It made me think of like how good the Cole and Graves were the whole
oh
weekend
yeah,
too.
even Graves, who gets low key hate, deserve it or not, but he's in the role that they have him in. I think he's fine. But Cole was great, and even in Graves too. The commentary across the board was really excellent. And those are
Yeah.
kind of two tired guys in the long scheme of things, even though they have a new fresh life with, especially with Cole. But it's not like it's like McAfee or someone out there. Those two, both those guys crushed it all weekend.
Yeah, I thought so. And Samantha Irving, low key, like,
Oh,
what an announcer, man. Like, holy
oh,
shit.
I saw Michael Buffer giving her praise this
Oh,
weekend.
really? Wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
So, but that's the WrestleMania of it all. We just want to kind of give it its flowers and be like top 5 ski vibes. We'll see. We'll see when the dust settles.
Yeah, when the
Hopefully it
recency
settles.
bias settles and
Yeah.
we.
You don't want to get too crazy with that, but a continuous stretch of great WrestleManias the last 3 years since the pandemic one. All right. Any other news you want to jump on before we get into Raw? Has there anything big happened?
I mean, I've been, looking websites and nothing really seems to be going on in the world of wrestling besides WrestleMania. So I guess we'll just
So
skip.
no headlines, just clotheslines from here on out.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
Rocco,
man.
what do you think of this Endeavor deal? It's way too early to kind of tell you. At the end of the year, well, I guess that's when it's going to be finalized. So we might have about 6 or 8 more months of speculation before we get the full line details. But the ancillary details of Vince being a little bit above Dana, that it's UFC and WWE as one. It is some new company, but still going to be UFC, still going to be the WWE name. So it's kind of interesting. The boy is back in town, but he's not back in town. It's just kind of like I think the quote was, do I have creative say? Yes and no. Do I have the big picture stuff in the money stuff? Yeah, but am I in the weeds? No. Do I miss being in the weeds? Yes. So it's just like, all right, Triple H, I'll cut the bushes, go mow the lawn.
I mean, I think the positivity that the product had when he left, I'm sure that stung a little bit. Where he's like, "Fuck these people." Everyone's all excited that I'm gone,
Yeah.
and what I did. So, but I do think he's smart enough to know that
Yes.
just coming out and saying I'm running it now, and like he knows that's not going to be met well, and just there's no need to take credit for it now. Like you just say you're done and leave everything the way it is. And I think he's smart enough to know that if he's writing stuff or whatever. I mean,
And I think the
Drew,
people in charge are smart enough to have him in there for whatever insight or knowledge or experience he's have, but would also know we got a big contracts coming up, and there's some negative aura around him running this product. So it's the Triple H game. And if we want to maximize whatever potential TV deals we could get, it's Triple H game is green for Endeavor, I would assume. You know,
and if you're that company, if you're Endeavor or whoever, like Vince is an 80-year-old man. Someone needs to be able to do his job. So like Triple H needs to be the guy doing it because he's going to be the guy doing it whenever that fucking guy dies. It might not be
they gave
for
him a
20 more
2-year
years.
deal, a 2-year contract. You know, could it be where, all right, then maybe Triple H jumps up to Nick Khan and then Nick Khan jumps up to Triple. I don't know how that corporate structure is going to go.
Right.
I saw a picture of 10 guys that.
It's kind of funny that like it's something we could talk about, but like I don't know who runs Paramount. I don't know who runs Universal. Like, and I'm big into movies and stuff. Like, it's weird that we know who's owning these companies, but in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter who's the corporate people in these things. Like,
I'm sure
I mean,
there's a lot of pros and a lot of cons having the big man where he's at, but it is what it is. I don't really think it's going to affect the day to day, and I really don't care, honestly, if you ask me.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the biggest thing is people get worried about like paying for pay-per-views again, where it's like, I mean, is it that big of a deal?
Let's jump into that part of it. Kind of going off what Nick Khan said, yeah, of course we would look at a model that would do that, and then 4 days later, it's like, yeah, Endeavor bought it, and then you look at Endeavor's, game plan with UFC. You have the ESPN Plus for $10.99 or whatever it is, or the UFC Fight Pass $10.99, whatever it is, and then you have to pay for individual pay-per-views for whoever's on the card, going up to $60 even. So could that be the WWE model? Perhaps, but the WWE is tied into Peacock, I believe, until the end of 2025, and the UFC is tied into ESPN Plus to the end of 2026. Again, that's just me remembering. That's just me not having the full dates in front of me. So say that we have a year, 2 years to 3 years of these guys having deals, and could deals be broken? Of course. I'm not sure of the language. I'm not sure if there's loopholes or outs. So I don't think that necessarily today we're going to be paying for pay backlash next month. You know what I mean? So I think it's Peacock season for the foreseeable future, but perhaps they go in 2 different routes. They go into the route that they are with ESPN Plus, where we have to pay $50-$60, whatever, per pay-per-view, or maybe perhaps that they go into the WWE Network route, where they have, I doubt it's $10.99, but they have UFC and the WWE pay-per-views under one umbrella, and it's like WWE Network, UFC Network, and there's just like $15-$20 a month, go straight ahead, and maybe that's how they do it. I'm not sure. I'm just being a little pessimistic instead of having the inevitable. We're not really necessarily sure, but it's all speculation of, ugh. But that's the only perceived negative would be the potential of paying per pay-per-view in my eyes right now. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's a thing that you would think like, we've been so spoiled for it's just on your
For the
TV
last
for
10 years.
yeah. So it's kind of like it would be the making them premium things that you really would want to drop some money to do. They're gonna have their people that are gonna get them all no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know I kind of stopped watching UFC when they had less free stuff on TV, but they're really different models. I think really how UFC works, like, and how that works. So
It's
yeah,
too
I don't
much
know.
to know. It's too
Yeah.
too much unknown to really know. But the other thing is, this is just my observation. UFC is targeted for mature audiences, preteens. You try to get preteens and really teenagers and really high schoolers. You try to mold them to become UFC fans by being edgier or whatnot. So if they start doing that within the WWE structure, that I don't really think that's a negative. With not fully, but if we'll get into tonight, that Cody beatdown was pretty vicious. Did we have gore and blood and guts or whatever? No, but we had a more brutal beatdown there. You know what I mean? So that felt more rugged. You know what I mean? So could the WWE product get more rugged of the whole? Is Sable going to go out there and Miss Jackie going to have bikini contests? We whipping our take Taz out and doing that? I doubt it, but Do we necessarily have to do that? No, not necessarily. But I think to his core, Triple H is kind of more of an edgier guy and would kind of prefer perhaps to go down that, have the flexibility to go down that route. And UFC and Endeavor may kind of encourage it, is kind of what I'm saying. So that could be a positive for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, just having more mature. When you say mature, like you're saying, it doesn't have to be like titties
Yeah.
and gore. It could just be more mature storylines, or just the way that the language you
Yeah.
use could be like just more talking up to people instead of down. Like it could just be little subtle things that no matter what it is, like whatever you want to say, it's PG now. It's way more mature than it was in the 2008 Cena JBL is poopy kind of era, where they just had no fucking idea how to like write a show
it's
for.
definitely progressed to kind
Yeah,
of like a mesh in a
I mean,
way.
even the Bloodline storyline is like, that's not for kids. That's, I mean,
No.
it's not outrageous, but it's actually like, meant to be thought about deeper than just something like a typical kids story.
Yeah, so if the shackles have come off in the last, say, 4 or 5 years, they could even maybe extend a little more without really having many people, because the shareholders were the reason, and the image and the corporation and all that stuff was the reasoning to kind of go down that route, right? So not having to have that, perhaps we don't need to, but
Yeah, they don't need to cater to kids anymore because every kid hit puberty when Trish came out at WrestleMania. So there's no children watching anymore. They're all adults now because she jump started a lot of puberty.
so all right, heading into this night after WrestleMania show. Fine at best, a really cool but really empty opening with Triple H. It was like, I got a big cock and WrestleMania was awesome. Let me swing this thing for a little while. That was definitely the vibe, but I was low-key here for that. But then he's just said pretty much without saying it, we're WWE. We ain't changing. You've read the headlines. We're only going to get better. We are who we are, and let's keep rocking. A little kind of subtweeting of like, yeah, don't worry about Vince. He's around for the weekend, and maybe we'll get back to things.
Yeah, little preemptive damage control, like just to be like, don't worry about it, guys.
For sure.
And it's always nice to see him pop out there.
Yeah. So, and then it was just kind of like, all right, well, let's acknowledge the big dog. And the big dog, he brought out Triple H, he brought out Roman Reigns, cool moment, shook their hand. He acknowledged him. I'm curious of what Triple H really thinks when he shakes Paul Heyman's hand. I know he respects him, but what do you think? Let's just kind of go down there a little bit. What do you think Triple H really thinks of Paul?
Well, I mean, him and his wife and Paul Heyman definitely were not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
close.
He has a slime ball, but he's our slime ball, right?
Well, you got to figure he's got to like the amount of times he had to like have his wife come home and be like, this fucking Heyman. He's like, man, I was just trying to chill out, and the wife's pissed off about it, Heyman. So I'm sure he's sick of hearing that guy's name for a few years. But hey, man, he's got to appreciate what he's done for that company, right? So I don't know if he's going over there for Christmas though.
Yeah, but it's intriguing, whatever. But so, anyways, Roman comes out and acknowledge me, yada yada yada. Still the same. I'm the man. Get on, so forth and so what. And then Cody comes out, says he wants his rematch, but he's content. He doesn't get it, and I do like the verbiage in the loophole of saying, well, yeah, we can have a tag match, but I want it from someone who competed at WrestleMania. And I want that person to know that if he helps you, there's no way he's going to be able to challenge me while I'm champion. But then they remind you of the stipulation of Brock losing at SummerSlam that he can no longer challenge. So Brock Lesnar coming out to a huge ovation. And I just knew as soon as he came out and he grabbed Cody and he was like, my buddy Cody. I knew Cody was dead.
Yeah, the aggressive wrist grabbing was a telling sign.
I knew he was toast. Cody looked and felt like that younger brother coming off the epic loss. It was a rough few seconds for Cody, but let's just get to the main event. 10 minutes of Roman coming out. Nothing new there. Still awesome. I'm here for it. Roman Reigns season forever for me. And then Cody comes out. Typical Cody reaction. He's still over. And then Brock just comes out there, do the interruption. They do the bells, everything, the whistles. And then as soon as that bell's about to ring, he just fucking grabs him and suplexes him. And for 8 minutes, beats the ever living hell out of Cody Rhodes. No rhyme, no reason. We get white body Brock with a purple face, and he's just mauling him in the ring, on the stairs, on the outside, through the table, over the fucking banner, fucking on the big ring bell. Brock rings the bell just to be Brock Lesnar, and brutality. I loved this. It was awesome. I'm not necessarily sure I want to see Cody versus Brock, because I'm not sure that I want to see Cody Rhodes defeat Brock Lesnar. But Rocco, I've been babbling. What do you think of that beatdown?
Yeah, man, I dug it. I dug it. I did like the little touches of like the referee running like for fucking the high ground when Brock came near him, and Shane Helms like trying to pull Cody out of the ring, like with sticking his hand in there. Like nice little touches by everybody, and just watching Cody just get fucking demolished, man. Like it was something. It was something to watch. It was
Yeah.
after like after the highs of Mania, and even though he lost, and like that's an interesting way to the last thing you see when you're leaving LA on your Mania vacation was Cody Rhodes.
It was really cute with like the Hurricane trying to grab him.
Yeah, I
He
thought that
just
was
like,
really
I'm
cool
not going in
touch.
there. Like, I'm
And every time-
out. I'm out.
that
And then how
crowd-
about Brock at the end just coming back out, throwing the gloves down, and gives us the double bird? And I was like, okay, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, I mean, I wonder what the beeping out was like a little intriguing
Yeah.
too, because I don't know if he was actually if there was some reasoning in his mix of cursings that he said, like,
He's
but
probably feeling himself a little bit too much. Probably a little bit, a little heavily feeling himself. But you know, that's the kind of the Brock of it all. And this was the highlight of the show. I'm just curious about Cody here. Are you worried about him? Do you think he finds his footing? Do you think this is the start of his redemption story? And is kind of, I don't want to say sacrificing Brock, because obviously that guy's is proof that he is bulletproof. But what do you think of that whole potential of them two? Well, not potential. Those guys are going to go at it. I'm assuming Backlash could be Saudi. I doubt it's as far away as SummerSlam. What do you think, buddy?
it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to actually get the reasonings for it. Is it
Yes.
you took that should have been me, and I mean,
Maybe he hates Dusty Rhodes for all we know.
could be some some weird story that Dusty was mean to him in catering. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's gonna be interesting. It's a pairing I was not on my card for what would have been happening at the end of this show when we at 7:59 before I turned it on. I did not think we were gonna leave this show with a
Yeah, it
Brock
was
versus Cody feud.
because you kind of had the speculation of all day of, oh, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Jay White? Is it going to be Zack Ryder? Zack Ryder, okay. But is it going to be like Riddle? Is it going to be AJ Styles? Who's it going to be? And then when Roman was and Heyman was spitting out someone that competed, I was like, who the fuck's it going to be? And then I didn't even see Brock coming. And then that pop was huge. That was great.
And I guess there is too, because it does play into now it gives a little story for Heyman to be distrusted by Roman, maybe still. Like it's like I mean, it's something they've done before, but it's like there's the bloodline always needs a lot of moving pieces. So this gives a piece to add back into the equation of did you know he's gonna be here? Why was he here? And I think it's cool that he did that. I do like the touch of them saying it had to be someone who was at Mania,
Yes.
because that way you're saying that it's not going to be some new dude, because people would be if they it could have been a letdown, but like they just having that little thing of saying it had to be a dude like that lets people know it's not going to be some surprise guy you've never seen before. It's got to be that. I just thought that was like a neat little touch, but
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I didn't expect it, man. So I mean, Brock is kind of like Mr. Raw After Mania, right? Like
In
he's
a way,
kind of
yeah.
made a lot of moments on that Raw After Mania.
Why don't you find out? Check Justin's top 10 Raw After Mania moments, and you'll find out.
Cheap plug.
Cheap plug ski right there. All right, but you get almost an Elias, unforgettable, almost a win, whatever, fine. But I did like the Bad Bunny of it all at the end of the bottom of this hour. You had you had Ray versus Theory, and then you had Dom come out. He's not done with his father, but I like how they incorporated Big Bunny. Now, do you anticipate a tag match? And we did mention that on Clotheslines all the way back in January, that was a potential match. That potential show got kicked. Puerto Rican show got kicked back to Backlash, so those reports were true at the time. So it's a pretty cool match.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be cool. I mean, shit, Bad Bunny took that choke slam like a fucking champ
Oh,
too. That was fucking wild, man.
yeah. So, and I liked how Priest was like, you're my boy. Don't be fucking with us.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they still had that acknowledgement of being boys, but he was just like, man, fuck you. Judgment Day for life.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, not acknowledging the past, something that sometimes they forget to do, like acknowledging that these people have histories with each other. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a cool way to go to keep the feud going and adding new stuff and um, whatever that's going to lead to. And hell, man, everyone loves watching Bad Bunny when he's when he's in the ring.
Yeah. And then the middle of the show is just forgettable, kind of pointless matches, but good, good filler. Very good tag match, Sammy and KO versus Street Profits. Curious we got that right away, and I'm curious there was not much stipulation to it, and I'm actually kind of surprised that they just had the Street Profits go out there and lose cleanly to them guys. They were Cammy and CO, they shouldn't be losing to the Street Profits in non-title matches, but you have a new tag team champions for the first time in 600 and some odd days. The Street Profits just won the WrestleMania showcase, so it's just like our showcase team just lost to our new champs. It makes sense, but it's just like already. But whatever, it was a good match. It was probably match of the night, but it was a very weak card.
I think, yeah, especially because Dawkins was the fucking my hero of fucking WrestleMania because he fucking clobbered Braun. That was a highlight for me.
And I love how he bragged about it too.
Yeah, when he mentioned that, excuse me. I do think, and that was the one kind of thing I was thinking of before with when they win the belts from the Usos, where they're going is interesting now, and it's like it seems like that was such a big moment that kind of had to happen, but now they're just in this tag team scene, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out and how these two dudes who are in the main storyline, the main eventing WrestleMania, now they're just kind of fighting the Street Profits. It's kind of
that's bound to happen. The Street
I know, but that's going to be an interesting thing to get to make it seem important again in that tag team division. That's where they are. That's where they're going to be.
They'll get there. I think.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope it's better done than
maybe when Grandpa isn't over looking over our shoulder, we can cook.
Yeah.
But the other side of that tag team match you just mentioned is the Usos. Little showline story going in there, digging a little deep. Roman he came out with Solo and Heyman. The Usos weren't seen. The Usos were kind of bobbing around backstage. They go looking for the big dog. They go to the locker room. Heyman says he's with Solo outside, and he's strategizing for his big tag match. You guys go down the jet. You guys do your thing. We'll see you guys next week, or we'll see you later on, whatever, And then he walks in the door and mutters something like, I took care of it. So obviously Roman, the Usos aren't really necessarily Roman's favor right now. And I kind of dig that. You know what I mean? That's obviously the Jay storyline is not over. Jimmy's dragged into it. They did wrong. They lost in the main event of WrestleMania. The bloodline is not as rich as they were due to them. So I like that. Let's see how it goes with that. I like that. It's good stuff.
Yeah, agreed.
Good stuff. But other than that, you get an inconsequential. Your girls are in the death spot here. Lashley gets a squash against Ali. Forgettable. Actually, again, a decent segment here. Are they going to unify the Raw and SmackDown title, Rocco? And we're going to get like mid-card titles for Raw and SmackDown for the women. And it's going to be like men with one title. Because those bitches said they weren't done with each other.
Yeah, I did hear that. I kind of thought that was.
I had to be a little misogynistic. I put the girls over earlier. So.
I
live up to the player.
I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
So
I don't really either.
I don't want them to have unified titles anyway in the men's division either. So yeah, I don't need that to happen. Just keep them apart for a while and maybe figure it out. So that's not the answer to everything. We did it with the tag belts. We did it with the world titles. Like we don't need to be unifying because what's the point? Like it's happened. They've done it and gone back for so many times. I feel like with the trips where he's like would probably want to maintain some continuity, like and not do the Vince thing of being like they're unified, they're not. We have a brand split, we don't. Like I think it's better just to keep them like not just rely on something like that. So I don't want that to happen, but I want that match to happen. I just don't want it to be a unification.
Now, spontaneous questions are us is my gimmick, obviously. So who's going to win the title, or excuse me, who's going to lose first, Rhea or Bianca?
Ooh, interesting. I would. Oh God, I'd say Bianca. I think Rhea needs. I think Rhea. Bianca's had a time. She could lose, and it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, but they were putting over that year, so they got some equity there. Low key equity, a little boring equity. That equity might be stale. we'll call that equity, high interest rate equity. You know, you're not going to really, when you sell it, it's not really, whatever. That's another
I
thing.
mean,
But
I want Rhea, like, well, she gets to have some big high profile matches, which she was with Judgment Day and not wrestling for so long. You forget that she has only really been wrestling again, what, like right around right before Royal Rumble. Like she was
yeah.
having mostly doing stuff with the Judgment Day, and then she started wrestling again. So I think uh I think it's time to see her have some like really cool matches. And there's cool, like, there's fresh matchups, which is always
For both
exciting.
of them, there should be, yes.
Yeah.
Um, and then we get the inconsequential, well, not, there was consequences actually. The tag team match between Liv and Raquel and Damage Control. Forgettable match, but the
No
next
Bailey.
Monday night, you're getting Raquel and Liv, your Jersey girl versus Lita and Charlotte. Or
I think
excuse
they're
me,
a cool
Lita
team
and
too.
Becky.
I think it's a cool team with Hell and Liv. Like it
Yeah,
takes a
they have
while
good
for
chemistry.
for chemistry in a lot of teams when but they seem to have it really quickly. And the power bomb move is great because it fits Liv's character as a person who's fucking crazy now and like doesn't give a shit and just fucking. I mean, that's a scary thing, man. Just power bombing over backwards over the top.
Mm.
And I felt like Io, man, she really she was the star of that women's match at Mania, and I
Yeah,
kind
she
of
made them all look good.
yeah, she was really good, and I'm kind of I think everyone wants to see her and Asuka have a match at some point. I don't know what happened. I don't know
I
if
can get
Asuka's
that. You know, they put a lot of shine on her on the Raw before WrestleMania with that excellent singles match with Becky. So
yes.
I think it's in the works. You know, I think it's in the works. And then the last thing is we got the Matt Riddle return. I know you were super excited about that. I do kind of enjoy this Miz gimmick he got going on, where he's just a loser. I think it leads to something. I'm not sure yet, but they're kind of building that up for something. Obviously, they put on the big stage for two big returns, so there's something there. I just not sure with what, but Riddle returned with super small shorts. Not sure about those shorts, but
If you're gonna wear shorts like that, you gotta at least have knee pads on. He's just naked. He just looks like
yes,
a little. He looks like probably like when a baby runs around with its diaper on. Just
yeah.
you gotta.
I thought Dragon Lee had the record for the smallest brief,
Yeah, I
and
was a
then
little.
when I saw Riddle show up, I'm like, he forgot half his stuff there. So
Yeah, I don't know, but I gotta say, man, the Miz really like 3 nights in a row. He fucking nailed his role in these
mhm.
shows like really fucking well, and yeah, like you said, that'd be cool if it leads to a different thing for him. I think that's a cool little gimmick for him to have, right?
I just don't know what it's leading to. I think there's substance there. There definitely is because they hammered it 3 nights in a row on biggest stage. And why was he the host? You know what I mean? So there's something there. Obviously, he was the host to be humiliated. He was here to be humiliated. So there's something there. Just not sure yet. We'll get back to that next time we're around. But
Ri-
we already talked about Brock gushingly for a while. But
Riddle reminded me of what was it, Big Dick Johnson? Remember the guy used to come out with the the stripper gimmick, and he's when DX would bring him out. You know what I'm talking about? Wasn't it like Krista
hey,
Joseph, the writer? He looked like
yes,
that.
yes, with the whole
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. But um, yeah,
He had,
sorry, I just
I
thought.
know he was in a prime spot to get a big pop, but he got a pretty big pop. He got a
Yeah,
pretty big
people
pop.
definitely seem excited to see him, and it's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, if I don't want a long ass feud with Miz, give him something a little cooler than that.
Yeah. But I want to see what he looks like with Triple H, with the Triple H done, because I'm not sure if he's a Triple H guy. And Triple H threw him in the mid card in NXT and let him cook. You know, actually, believe it or not, Vince McMahon booked Matt Riddle best. So I'm curious. You know, let me put it this way: Vince McMahon had the most interest in Matt Riddle. So I don't know if Triple H just felt that he was more main roster worthy. So he's just going to be here for a year. We're just going to build him. You know what I mean? Get him used to WWE TV and send him on up.
I kind of get that vibe. That's what it
Yeah.
was like because he never really touched much title picture stuff. He just kind
Yeah.
of did his own like
Tag belts
role
with
and
feet. That's it.
just got super over and shit. So yeah, I think that's an interesting point. But
So
yeah, I
I'm
think that's
curious. I'm curious where he'll pop. But that was the Raw of Real Rocco. Here's my sentiment of it. As a whole, it felt like a drag with a hot ending. But in each segment in a vacuum, we really only had a few negative things to say there.
it was an interesting. It was a different way to go for a Raw after Mania. I think it went more for there was a lot of like accolades being given. Like Seth just did his thing and got his
Yeah.
moment. Trish
Lashley
came
started
out
his
and
Reed
talked.
feud. Yeah.
Right, and, like, like you said, Bianca and Rhea, like, they didn't really do anything. They just
Yeah.
both were like, "We won big matches, here we are." Trish had their thing. Like, there was it wasn't necessarily like I don't know. It wasn't like starting. It wasn't like a big boom. It just was kind of like, all right, we're starting slow after the big weekend, and now like we'll see where it goes from there. Like it just didn't have the craziness that you would have kind of maybe expected.
It didn't. Let's just say it didn't have many top 10 moments. Maybe honorable mention of that beatdown, but I doubt it.
Had
I'm
a
being
nice,
I'm being favorable.
had a pretty cover, but the book inside wasn't all that exciting in parts. But
Yes. Now, Rocco, let's take a quick glance ahead. It's very early for Backlash. I think we have that tag match with Big Money and Ray versus Dom and Priest. I think we perhaps will get Cody versus Brock Lesnar. By the sound of things, I doubt Roman Reigns is going to get anything. I'm sure we're going to get a KO and Sammy match, maybe a rematch with the Usos. Maybe we get Riddle with Solo, because Solo's the one that took him out. But I don't know. What else can you think of it before not seeing SmackDown and not really and Raw after WrestleMania being a fallout instead of a really look ahead for the most part?
I think the Usos and Sammy. I think that's definitely going to happen. It's because it's kind of it still is a fresh match. I mean, they never had a match together, right?
Yeah.
Like they interacted a
There's
lot,
definitely
but
juice there. There's more bites on that apple for sure.
yeah, I think you need Bobby, and I think if they're doing him and Reed, that's going to be a real violent, cool match. And but
Mhm.
it seems like they really feel bad about Bobby getting fucked over, and kind of really
Yeah, it's kind of a weird spot for Reed. It's just like you really want him losing yet, and I don't think he's gonna ready to beat Lashley unless it's like gonna be a multi-match feud. But
maybe that's kind of like a put him in there at Lashley, and then like Lashley, does this guy got anything kind of deal, like
let's see how he looks.
yeah, and ask
Yeah.
Lashley, like, is he worth it, So I think that'll be a thing. I'm really like, obviously, because I like the women's matches, like it's definitely interesting because they didn't indicate at all who Bianca or Rhea is going,
Mhm.
who's their feud's going to be. So yeah, I mean, it really you don't have a lot of answers to those questions, but I mean, just having Dom and the Big Bunny tag
That's big. That's
that's a big
mainstream.
yeah.
That's big stuff. Now, all right, one last question for you, Rocco, as we got it here. Cody Rhodes, is he gonna be all right?
Yeah, man. Hey, like this is just because he got his shit pushed in doesn't mean that.
His redemption story?
Yeah, I just think that's
The
like
story isn't over, it's just taking a crossroad. No pun
I mean
intended?
that's Jesus Christ. Um,
Come on, that was good.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, like his thing is he's a babyface, man. He's supposed to get fucking. He's got to come back. He's got to
Yep.
fight adversity, and in the WWF, like
A
the
lot of
biggest
adversity
adversity.
with Brock.
Yeah, I mean Brock fucking losing his shit on you is probably the most adversity you could fight, right? So I think it's an interesting way. Like it's not. You're not starting small on his comeback story. It's not like he's working his way from the bottom back to the top. I mean, he's still at the top. He's still fighting the top guy. So I think he's fine.
Yeah. All right, Rocco. Well, congratulations to Mike Rossi and the Yukon Huskies. Our boys team won it all. Big East pride here as a Friar fan. But
Yeah.
I'm happy for him. He's a loyal fan. He's one of the only Yukon fans I like. And it was cool that I went to a Yukon game on their campus, and then they win the national title that year. So that's a cool little nugget for me. But again,
You sprinkled a little
congrats,
stardust on
Rossi.
that team.
Congrats, Rossi. You guys earned it.
They learned what being a champion is from you and your one visit there, and they
Yeah.
applied
Oh, I put them over the edge. They were like,
yeah.
"We got you, buddy."
We'll follow that guy's pattern.
Yeah. All right, Rocco. This is gonna be a little change to clotheslines and headlines. We're not gonna be long form, audio form. We're gonna be video only here on YouTube on once or twice a week, maybe a little live mixed in, and just still a rotation of guys, and that's kind of how we rock and roll with one of us leading the way. You cool with that?
Yeah, man.
Let's take over the internet. All right, let's take over the YouTube. What do you think?
Sure, let's do it. It's sorry, I was gonna make a capital joke. That's assaulting. We're gonna
Cut.
storm. We're storming YouTube. We're storming YouTube. That's what we're doing.
Cool. All right, guys, leave your thoughts in the comments about the Raw after WrestleMania. And Rocco, we'll catch you on the next one, buddy.
Later, man.